to thank Executive Director Naresh Singh for presenting this constructive report. Mr. Chairman, the United States is strongly committed to working with regional governments to reduce poverty and expand opportunities. Underscoring the need for poverty alleviation as a matter of basic public policy in the Americas is of high importance to my government. When President Bush traveled to the region in 2005, he spoke very clearly about democracy, social justice, and fighting poverty. He said, and I quote, "Our common ideal of social justice must include a better life for all our citizens. As elections and democracies have spread across our hemisphere, we see a revolution in expectations. Either democracies will meet these legitimate demands, or we will yield the future to the enemies of freedom," end quote. Mr. Chairman, the people of this hemisphere are calling on their leaders in the United States to spread opportunity to those left out and left behind. The Bush administration is listening and responding, and we are taking concrete action to help governments focused on giving the poor a chance for a better life. In this regard, the United States is advancing a number of initiatives, including a proposal to cancel the debts to the Inter-American Development Bank of the region's 5 poorest countries. This initiative and other relief will translate into nearly $19 billion for these nations, or approximately $620 per person in nations where annual spending on health is currently $50 per person. The United States is also working with the IDB to facilitate private investment and bank lending to the small and medium-sized businesses that studies show create 90% of new jobs in Latin America. To be effective, Mr. Chairman, any poverty reduction or job creation must focus on making it easier to create and grow small businesses. This is clearly recognized by the Commission on Legal Empowerment of the Poor and in its reports. Other U.S. initiatives include working with the IDB to reduce by half the cost of transmitting worker remittances as agreed to at the 2004 Special Summit of the Americas. We are also advancing legal protections and opening economic opportunity with nations that govern well and pursue sound policies through support from the Millennium Challenge account. While our message on poverty reduction is optimistic, Mr. Chairman, it is also urgent. At this moment, we are in danger of replaying unproductive ideological battles that sidetrack us from the pressing tasks confronting us. The poor in our hemisphere deserve better. They deserve leaders capable of learning from and acting on global evidence. The United States stands ready to help such leaders, to continue to expand our arsenal in the fight against poverty, and to keep it at the center of our agenda in this hemisphere. Working together in the spirit of shared cooperation and within the rubric of promoting a democratic culture in the Americas, we can create a hemisphere where legal protection and economic opportunity are not the privilege of the few, but accessible by all. This serves as a basis for the concerted efforts of the Commission on Legal Empowerment of the Poor, and also serves as the foundation for U.S. regional engagement in the fight against poverty. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Muchas gracias. Embajador Ispas Williams from St. Kitts and Nevis, please.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, through you, I would wish to thank the Assistant Secretary General for making available to us the person of Dr. Singh from the UN, and to commend Dr. Singh for his erudite yet simply presented information with regard to this commendable UN initiative. The law works better for some than for others. That is well known at all levels, from the level of misdemeanor, of disorderly conduct, to the level of capital punishment. In fact, that's a bit of a misnomer, because those who have capital don't get it. Many of the initiatives and activities of the Organization of American States implicitly support or enhance legal empowerment of the poor, civil registration, identity initiatives, and so on. But this new regional, relatively new regional compact for legal empowerment takes the further necessary step to consolidate an informed approach to this critical human security initiative, for that is really what it is. being able to use the law for economic opportunity and for protection of assets is an essential component of our human security. Unfortunately, inequality and exclusion is endemic in the Americas, more so than in other areas of the world. And so our leaders, our governments are expected to deliver on a better life for our citizens. This is the expectation which our citizens have. And there have been, from time to time, in places within the hemisphere, proliferation of legal clinics, but even these have limited effectiveness. The poor need to have access to a broad legal system, to a system that entitles them to health care at a certain level, to education, to property rights, which is antithetical to poverty, and to labor rights, and to be able to leverage their assets to better their life. One component that I was not as clear on, Dr. Singh, is how this would be really funded. I think lofty ideas must have at their bottom line a dollar figure, and understand that delivery depends on dollar figures. But this new legal empowerment initiative presents a renewed anti-poverty agenda aimed at including a large majority of our world's population. We're particularly concerned here with those in our hemisphere. I can only commend it and hope that it will deliver on its promise.
Ambassador Michael King, it's your turn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I first of all will wish to welcome my old friend I have not seen for 20 years, Dr. Naresh Singh. In our previous professional lives, we collaborated as heads of two Caribbean institutions, not as well known as the Umbrella Body of CARICOM. But we have in our presence one of the outstanding scientists of the Caribbean, who is socially aware of all the ills of the world and always had an answer for solving the problems of this hemisphere and the rest of the world. Welcome, Naresh. Mr. Chairman, as we embark upon a retreat for SETCD next Monday, I must tell you that what was presented to us today represents almost a template as to the direction that the organization should be heading in the area of development, both economic and social development. I see this very carefully. I sat and I listened and I took note, and I realized that we were talking about the rights of citizens of this hemisphere and the world in general to citizenship, including the right to vote, education, health, housing, and decent work. I think in terms of the marginalized citizens of this hemisphere, too many million people are living in poverty in our hemisphere in the 21st century. Too many people are socially excluded. I see an opportunity for us in reflecting on Monday at our retreat to look at the core elements of this report presented by Dr. Singh today on behalf of the UN Commission on Legal Empowerment of the Poor. What we are talking about is that the OAS today will see that this is not only a political institution, but an institution that must strengthen its development agenda. The member states of this organization must find the resources to strengthen the development programs of this organization. I think that is one of the major disappointments I've had in this organization for the past 7 years since I've been here, in that the resources that are allocated to development have been fast diminishing. And even in the development international financial institutions, as well as the regional financial institutions, the practice of grant financing has been disappearing. To answer the query of my colleague from St. Kitts